My name is Michelle Grunstein. I am the clinical director for Avedis Detox and Avedis Recovery. I am a licensed therapist and a master's level addiction counselor. I have been working for Avedis for almost 2 years now, and I've been in the field for 10 years. A client calls in to the facility, they go through a screening process where we ask them about their substance history, any mental illness, medications that they're on, where they live, what kind of support they have. Based on their responses, we decide what level of care they need. And then we do an intake and they go through treatment at our facilities. So clients come from all different areas. So sometimes they're coming from home, sometimes they're coming off of the street. So, they really don't need to come with anything. But if they have clothing, if they have toiletries, they can definitely bring that stuff. But we provide whatever they need. It's hard to be the loved one of an addict, but I would say first and foremost is being there for them, giving them support, trying to help them, and really just showing them that you care. If you can support them at all in providing resources, calling facilities for them, helping them call their insurance, all of those are good things to do as well. There's no one answer. Treatment varies. It depends what level of care you come in at. So we have every level of care. We have detox residential, and that's all inpatient. Detox usually lasts about 7 days, and then they continue for residential treatment. Typically, that would be about 30 days total. We then have an outpatient program where the typical stay is about 90 days, but it really does vary based off of, again, your own treatment history, your substance history, your insurance requirements. But overall, I would say 3 to 4 months beginning to end. Absolutely, yes. There are genetic markers for addiction. You can be predisposed to addiction, which definitely makes your probability of presenting with addiction higher. It's usually the other way around. So usually the mental health comes first, and that leads to addiction. You definitely can have mental illness presenting afterwards. You can have it exacerbated by substance use, and also depending on what you've been through while you were using can lead to mental illness. So, often people are on the street, they experience trauma, they are disconnected from their families. So there's a lot of things that happen because of addiction, which can then further exacerbate mental illness. Call 911. There is an overdose. We will not take a client from an overdose. The client does have to go to the hospital first and get medical clearance. Once they are cleared from the hospital, we can then take them. So it would be calling us. We can make all of that happen. We can coordinate all of that, but they would have to get medical clearance first. So we're called Avedis Detox, but we actually are detox residential. So detox, the clients are first coming in. It's the first, typically about 7 days, where they're really detoxing off drugs. They're withdrawing. So they're not doing much of anything other than resting. They get medication, they get meals, fluids, we give them medical care, anything they need to feel better, and they're really just getting off of substances. That is their whole job, is to just relax and get better. Once they're out of that initial phase, then we move into residential treatment, which is a full day of programming. They still remain here 24 hours a day. They have 24/7 care. They have meals prepared for them. We have a chef that provides all meals, so we know that they're getting proper nutrients. We have them doing group therapy throughout the day, and we have them meeting individually with a therapist. That's everything from just simple things like life skills and coping skills, relapse prevention skills, all the way through, art therapy, things that they need for, trauma, depression, anxiety, emotional regulation. And then we also have things like yoga, meditation, and getting them out of the house, reintegrating into society, stuff like that. AA is one recovery resource. It is part of the 12-step programs. There are multiple. There's AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous, there's Cocaine Anonymous. There are a lot of different programs. They're all under the 12-step umbrella. And then there's other programs as well. So there's Smart Recovery, there's Refuge Recovery, there's things that are outside of the typical AA, NA that everybody knows about. We don't make our clients do any one thing. Believe in whatever helps you, whatever works for you is a good thing. We definitely encourage them to go to meetings. We take our clients to meetings. We do take them to AA and NA meetings, but there are clients that it just doesn't work for, and then we try to introduce them to other things like Smart Recovery. AA is a 12-step program. It's based on 12 principles. Clients are brought through that with a sponsor, and it really just helps them go through their history, things that led them to using, things that are keeping them from remaining sober. I'm a very big believer in there are underlying issues that bring people to using. So, it's not just the addiction. Addiction is the response. Everyone has a different response to things that happen to them in their lives, right? And so, you have people who become depressed, you have people who have anxiety, you have people who are engaging in self-harm, and then you have people who are addicted and they get hooked on a substance. The main thing they need to do at that point is work on the underlying mental health issues. So, yes, they need a place where they can be sober so that they can work on those things, but without working on the underlying mental health, they will not be able to remain sober. Aside from giving them a place to be, we also give them therapy throughout the day. They're doing those groups. They're doing, the individual assessments. We have them see a psychiatrist in case they need medication. They're getting medical attention for any physical ailments. As far as mental health, we focus on typically just at first, emotional regulation. We want to make sure that this is someone who can get through a day. So, we're not running to work on trauma on day one. That's too much for them. We're going to work on coping skills, getting through, something that's triggering you right now. You're having a hard time sitting. We're going to help you get through that. We have clients that come in and when they first get here, they can't even sit in a group. And then slowly they're able to interact with their peers and do everything that everyone else is doing. They're able to reintegrate back into society. So it's really working on those underlying mental health issues, the anxiety, the depression, anger. It can be trust issues, issues with family. And we also try to help them reconnect with their family, figure out what's stopping them from having those relationships with their family so they have that connection. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that connection, whether through family, friends, anyone who can support you, you're not going to be able to be a productive member of society. I would say big things, especially in the addiction world, is routine. Routine is really important. Having that routine, knowing what you're doing when, planning things out. We talk with our clients a lot about making a schedule, having all of the important things in that schedule, right? So there are clients who forget to eat. So they're not taking care of themselves. Our clients who are not sleeping. So it's, putting those things, the simple everyday things into that schedule, making sure that they're taking care of themselves. And then it goes into the bigger things of maybe they need to be working out, maybe they need to be going to meetings, maybe they need to be going to therapy, they need to be doing school, right? Everybody has something different that they need, but it really comes down to routine, consistency, and honestly asking for help, knowing when you need help and asking for it. We have two programs. One is an inpatient and it's detox and residential level of care. Detox is essentially when a person is coming in right after using, we help them get sober, go through that withdrawal phase, and then we integrate them into the residential program and they're able to start slowly regaining their health, regaining their strength, learning really just the basics, the fundamentals of getting sober. It's just enough to get them to a place where they're emotionally regulated, regulated enough to move on. And so in our next program is an outpatient program. We do PHP, partial hospitalization program, IOP, which is intensive outpatient program, and OP, which is outpatient program. So the PHP level of care is 6 hours. It's a full day of programming. They do 4 groups per day. They come in, they do their treatment. They see the doctor, they see their therapist, they see case managers. The IOP level of care is half of that, so it's 3 hours a day, and they do the same thing. So they'll do 2 hours of 2 groups. They'll do, the same individual therapy, case management, seeing doctors, the psychiatrist, whoever we need to refer them to. They're already at a point where maybe they have a job, they have a schedule, they're finding housing. So they're just coming in a few times a week for an hour at a time, and just to do a little bit of therapy so that it helps them reintegrate into society. And so the point is that with every level of care, you're stepping down, you're doing less. Hopefully in your personal life, you're doing more. So you're more emotionally regulated, you have more of a schedule, you have the skills to get through a day, you have the skills to get a job, you have the skills to, start building relationships with people in recovery, and eventually you can do less and less treatment and more of a personal life.